Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of The Address, the official podcast for thestateofgames.com. My name is Peter Lopez, and with me on today's show is David Quigley and Patrick Okolo. So, guys, there hasn't been a ton of news in the games industry, which is normal for this time of year. But, David, you actually brought this to my attention, which I thought was a great topic for today's show, which apparently Sony isn't going to be at E3 2019 at all, not in the traditional sense or otherwise. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So this dropped, yesterday as we record in the middle of the day. This huge report comes out. It's sourced from Variety, so it's a big entertainment outfit, movies mostly. That Sony's just gonna straight up skip E3, and quickly after that, they also clarified they're not going to be doing anything. So no EA type show where it's off-site or even in a different city, but scheduled for the same time. They're saying no conferences, nothing. They won't be there. They're not going to have a show floor presence. They're just bailing on 2019 altogether. So now the wild speculation is in overdrive for what this means.
And that's pretty crazy because Sony's been at E3 for the longest time, and since they're not going to be there in 2019, it just I'm wondering what it's going to be like now at E3 without Sony there. Because typically, I would expect them to have something elsewhere, just like other companies have done so in the past. But the fact that they're not going to be there at all, I guess the only thing they'll have for the year is PSX, which even you've said that it was kind of bland in years past.
Yeah, I didn't like any of them really outside of the first one. Everything else, the announcements just weren't there. So I don't, I think they just kind of overdid it the first year. That's kind of not the event where you would expect to have just a ton of big announcements in December. So, if they're going to have a little thing in California every year or whatever, I don't care. I think they need to just, I guess, do their own thing now. So, I don't know. Pat, what do you think about this as a big PlayStation owner yourself?
Well, I don't have one, but
I know,
but I do plan on getting one soon. But it's kind of a weird thing, right? Because if any other company did this, there'd be like huge backlash, like, oh my gosh, you're skipping E3, that's pretty bad, all that stuff. But I think Sony has built up enough like goodwill with its consumers, with all the great games they released recently and over time, that even though they've skipped E3 or they're skipping E3 next year, people are more like, oh, maybe they're saving their games for the next E3 or saving it for like another announcement for like a bigger announcements coming up. So it's what it seems like. It's like Sony, they know they're in a good position this year and even now going forward. And I guess they're using that position now to kind of like, take matters in their own hands. But I do hope they do come back though, because that primetime slot that, they've left now for this coming year, people look forward to that every year. That Sony conference. So it's going to be weird that unless maybe the ESA finds someone else to fill that slot, like another big developer or big company, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah, what do you think they could bring Nintendo back?
Oh, really? Yeah, like that could be a possibility, but they have their own like what direct, right? Yeah, I doubt. It's got to be a company that, because it has to fill that time slot, right? Isn't it the same time slot for like an hour or so, or an hour or two?
Oh yeah, it's usually more like an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to have enough games, right, to fill like a whole hour or so. Not just anyone's going to be able to do that. So it's tough. It's tough.
Does there even need to be an E3 anymore? Let's be real. Nintendo, they're doing a great job with Nintendo Directs. I know Microsoft is doing their Xbox version of that. Do you guys think maybe PlayStation should jump on that bandwagon?
Xbox is doing like Nintendo Directs, you mean, or like PSX?
It's like no, sorry, it's like a live show. It's like a Nintendo Direct, but for Microsoft, where they highlight
Oh,
Yeah,
games
they
from
yeah they had a
indies
yeah, they had it recently. The what's the XO 2018 or something like that. I can't say for sure. It's kind of like with all the streaming services we have going on right now, where people are like, oh, leave cable and get your own streaming service from like different companies. Um, I still think E3 is pretty relevant, just for the fact that games are still getting made. And if, let's say, Sony wants to do their own like presentation, like Nintendo and the other guys, it's fine, but I don't think like it's like the death of E3, because what I see now is that with that hole they've left now, the primetime slot, I'm pretty sure, the ESA is looking for someone to fill that slot, and people are willing to take that slot as well. It's
It'll be,
it's
it
a
has
good
to be
way
Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they might move them around, but then it's a good way to, of course, showcase your game, showcase what your company's doing. So I still think E3 is not going anywhere anytime soon, but maybe it's the start of like maybe some changes that we're not used to.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, they might have to end up scaling the whole size back,
Yeah.
smaller show floor, not publicly available, make it go back to being a press-only event.
Hmm.
But, so my theory on this is on why they've announced this right now, today being November 16th, is supposed to be a signal from the marketers. Hey guys, we're serious. There's not going to be a PS5 next year, so go ahead and buy our Spider-Man bundles for $200 on Black Friday. That's
Yeah.
what I'm, it's just a weird thing, I think, to announce it now if it's not motivated by holiday sales in some respect. Because this is an announcement that could have come in January, February, easy.
Yeah. I mean, it also could mean they don't have any like other games planned, maybe.
Yeah,
Because
but
wasn't it? Yeah.
why did you announce it now?
Yeah, because wasn't it like last year where like they had E3 and then they had like their PSX and people were complaining that they didn't show anything new per se.
Yeah, they did the
So-
weird show with the church, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
They
So
walked everybody around from set to set.
it's like they I think they have what Last of Us 2,
Last of Us 2, Ghost of
Tsushima,
Tsushima, Spider-Man, and
Dead Stranding as well. Is that exclusive for Sony or something? So it's maybe they know for sure they don't have anything ready to show next year, and they're just trying to like save face. But who knows?
well, and that is, I mean, you look at the calendar, we're winding down, so I would expect there's not really any gigantic AAA exclusive for PS4 that we haven't heard about yet.
Yeah.
So I imagine they take next year off because in 19 they're going to be announcing,
Big stuff.
first quarter 2019, they say, hey, we have PS5 coming. And then E3 is all the new games. They'll have their own little preview event, and then they'll come to E3 huge again.
Yeah.
It makes sense then to take a year off, just going off of that plan, just because you want to have
hold on.
something to show.
But they have things to do. They're not new, but people are going to want to see more Last of Us and Tsushima, and for some reason people do care about Death Stranding. I don't understand why, but people want to see, like, I don't know, quote unquote gameplay from that game, figure out what it's about. And of course you can do this not at E3, but
Right.
everybody's watching at E3. It's just
Yeah,
kind of weird
exactly.
to not even have like a pre-recorded Nintendo style thing, even if it's only 15, 20 minutes long.
I mean, because they always say E3 is meant for like the investors, right? To see what their company they've invested in is bringing out. Like you said, David, it's like if it's a new trailer or like a gameplay of like a new area, or like just news on, hey, this character is going to be in this game or something like that. I think people would like that, and of course, yes, the arbitrary like, oh, Microsoft won E3 this year would come out, but it's still something that people would have liked to see, for sure.
Well, I, for one, am disappointed by this news and encouraged at the same time, because I would say this very solidly confirms no PS5 next year, and I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still disappointing to miss out on essentially, our Super Bowl of here's the, it's nice to have just like 2 days of everybody just spewing all their stuff at once.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, sure, they could all branch out to like their own individual thing, but I mean, like the Xbox one, I totally missed out on that one. and it's like, it's nice to have like it's a week where we know, okay, they're gonna see new trailers, new gameplay, new consoles get announced, whatever. It's way better that way to just be uniform compared to like individually spread out.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and change directions here and bring up the Game Awards. So this week, Jeff Keighley had revealed the nominees for the Game of the Year award for the Game Awards, and they are as follows. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Celeste, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So, okay, give me your thoughts, you guys, on this lineup here.
I want them to stop tokenizing the indie games. Celeste, I'm sure, I heard good things when it came out. I'm sure it's great. Come on now. You
Yeah.
put in Celeste up for Game of the Year against Red Dead Redemption 2. Come on now. This is insane.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, no. Come on. I just, that's my own personal thing. I hate how much people like the new games that are not Assassin's Creed at all. And then Monster Hunter World doesn't seem to me like it belongs in this discussion either. It's just because you got some heavy hitters this year, though, with Red Dead and Spider-Man and God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a tough year.
It's kind of agree with David with the whole tokenizing indie games. Now, no offense, I'm pretty sure I haven't played Celeste, but I heard good things about it, and I'm pretty sure it's a great game. But yeah, they already have a best independent game award already, and Celeste is in there. So, I think it's the whole like argument, like, okay, what defines a Game of the Year award? It's like you can't really say, but just by looking at the list right now, Celeste is the odd one out. It's like the only one that's not in 3D. So, that's just me anyway. But yeah, the other games in there are kind of expected. I think when we talked about our kind of like our nominations the last podcast before, God of War was in there, Spider-Man was in there, Red Dead was in there, even AC was in there. Like these are games that are expected to be in that Game of the Year, kind of like the conversation. But to see who actually wins it is going to be tough. It's going to be very close to see.
Now you look at this list, Pete's pick is definitely Monster Hunter World, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay, God of War, I would say, takes it over Monster Hunter World just because God of War was such an amazing game. But Monster Hunter does deserve to be on there, though, just because it's changed so many things from the traditional formula. Hell, it looks fantastic on Xbox, and it looks like crap on the Switch. So I think just that alone
that's
gives
normal,
it.
right?
I think for that alone, it deserves to be on the Game of the Year.
Well, I guess it depends what you think about it. To me, Monster Hunter is, in my mind at least, it's super niche.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I think Game of the Year is a more mainstream appeal award. That's not me saying Monster Hunter is a garbage game just because I don't even really have an opinion on it other than it looks like something I would never touch, which is fine. That doesn't make it a bad game. It's just not for me. But my understanding of it is it's not super extremely popular, which that doesn't have to preclude it from being nominated, but just compared to these other games, it stands out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
it's
huge community behind it, but let's be
yeah, yeah,
real.
yeah.
There's only 3 games that I'm pretty sure um, they're gonna obviously win, and it's God of War, Spider-Man, and Red Dead 2. But I haven't played Spider-Man yet. But David, from what I've gathered from talking to you about it, is you make it seem like it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, I mean, on this list, Spider-Man would be my pick. Now, I wonder if the Sony games split the vote and then Red Dead takes it, or Red Dead just takes it anyway. Because I mean, the people that vote on this are industry people, right?
It's yeah, I believe it's all
So,
the editors from all the
I
mainstream
mean,
media.
yeah, so I mean, Red Dead's got some wonky things going on, and there is a somewhat split reaction to a lot of stuff. So if it was like popular vote, I could see one of these Sony games sneaking in. I think it being industry people, Red Dead will probably take it.
Yeah. Both Sony games are kind of like games in a sense, where it's you're playing something. But from what I've seen from Red Dead, it's almost like simulation for
Yeah,
like
it's
most of the
a
game.
technical masterpiece, really.
Yeah, so I think that's what's gonna help it all out. It's got that like cinematic quality to it, and that like everything's very nuanced and things like that. So Red Dead might take it, but it would be a happy surprise if it's like Spider-Man or something or God of War.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, like when is the Game Awards again? I know it's
It's
December
really
6th.
December always.
December 6th, yeah.
December 6th. Yeah. Well, hopefully it's
Yeah.
better. Man, I want to say, how long is the Game Awards? Isn't it like an hour or two? I want to say it was like really long.
Well, it's definitely more than an hour. It's probably at least two.
Yeah. I just hope they cut down on all the like extra unnecessary stuff that does need to be there. Like, oh, this band comes out for like a solo number. Like, we don't need that. Just give us trailers, gameplay, awards, and yeah, news, of course, of like other stuff that we might not know yet. So
I mean, what do you guys think about the Game Awards itself? I mean, for me, I would have to say that it tries way too hard to be big, extravagant, like award ceremony. Where I think it'd be much better if it had a more simplistic approach to it, and the fact
I
that
mean,
like
it's just yeah, it's a different way of thinking, I guess. I mean, what you're describing is, I assume the goal of Jeff Keighley is to be like, no, this is our Oscars.
yeah,
So, I mean, I think he's doing exactly what he was hoping to do with it. For me, I don't really watch it. For me, like, seeing that stuff live, if I'm available and I hear something's coming up, if I like see something posted on social media that, big announcement coming up next, then maybe I would turn it on, but it's not something I'm going to be like, look, I'm blocking this out. It's on my calendar. I got to watch the Game Awards live, because you can just watch the YouTube clips as soon as they're up and read a list of the awards in a couple minutes compared to the hours. And then, like Pat says, I can skip whatever indie band that they have playing.
yeah. I mean, it's a nice sentiment because we don't really have any like official. Well, I guess they are now, but any official like Game Awards ceremony, and that's what Jeff is trying to do with this Game
Well,
Awards
that's the
show.
thing. You have to make it a big deal for the people that are there to get people to actually show up.
Exactly.
And that's what they want to. They don't want to just be another. We're the Game Awards, and we have a list of things that we publish online. They want the people to go there to accept the awards. So
Yeah, and so it's I like it. I don't try to watch. I mean, I don't like try to watch it live, because with most of these live stuff, you can find the clips on YouTube. So, but it's a nice thing to have, at least, compared to not having anything at all.
there's one thing I do want to say about this. There's two things I want to say. One thing, Rocket League is not nominated for Best Ongoing Game, and that's criminal. Second thing is, they have an award for the best moment from the previous year's award show, and that is the most just like pat your own back, just preposterous. Can you imagine if they gave out an Oscar for the best moment from the previous year's Oscars every year?
What's it called? The award?
It's like what was it? It's like best moment, something. I don't know. There was, and it might not be. It might just be one of those web voted ones.
Yeah.
But it had like the Way Out guys rant.
Oh yeah. I think I read that where he cusses out EA or something something like that.
Yeah, but so they're come on, you can't give your own show an award from the past year.
That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying. They tend to pad this event with stuff that's kind of unnecessary. So that award's got to go. All those extra bands. It's nice, but it's got to go.
Man. Well, we'll see. Hopefully it's a good show on December 6th. And I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. So, in case you're interested in giving us a follow on Twitter, you can hit us up at TSOG Tweets. And thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week.